It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Jim brings us our quick tip of the week with, in system settings, you can configure hot corners, and by themselves, they can be great, but you can accidentally trigger them too easily. This can be remedied by adding a modifier key when you configure it in system settings. You do this by holding down the desired modifier key when you configure it, and no more accidental hot corner shortcuts when you fling your mouse out of the way. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1098 for Monday, July 14th, 2025.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in tips like that. You send in cool stuff found, you send in questions, we share them all, we try to answer your questions or at least provide a troubleshooting path where the goal is we each get to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode include some new ones and some ongoing ones. K12.com/MGG is where you can go today to find a tuition-free K-12 powered school near you and enroll now. We'll talk more about that later, of course. Coda.io/MGG, where you can go to get 6 months of the team plan for startups for free. OpenPhone.com/MGG, you guessed it. You get 20% off your first 6 months of the #1 business phone system. And functionhealth.com/MGG gives you access to the kind of data most people never get to see about yourself. The first 1,000 of you that sign up get a $100 credit toward your membership at functionhealth.com/MGG. And ConstantContact.com. You can try Constant Contact free for 30 days at ConstantContact.com. We'll talk more about all of those in a bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire on National Tape Measure Day, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
And here also in New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete, where 1098 is assignment complete. We're not there yet. We're going to have to get there, though. But
yeah, that's right. We got to work. We got to work to get to the end of that. That's right. Yeah. All right. You got the next one for us, Pete?
I can do a quick tip from our hero of the week, Chicago Tom sends in this one. You can rename the flags in Apple Mail. Man, I never knew that. This one's cool. He says, I like to flag messages in Mail for Mac OS sometimes so that I can easily get to them throughout the day. These emails might contain important instructions or attachments that I'll need for a meeting or a task. By default, these tags are labeled by their color, red, orange, blue, etc. But did you know you can rename these flags? Simply tag an email with a flag. Then use the drop-down in the flagged section of the Mail app, and for those of you listening, that's over in the left column, like we're all assuming you look at it the way I do, where all your other mailboxes are. Right-click on the proper color and choose Rename Mailbox. This actually renames the flag, not just the mailbox. So now I have properly labeled flags for today's meeting materials, task materials, materials to discuss with colleagues, etc. when I see them. So that works out really cool because I just went in this morning and renamed all mine to like financial, urgent, due next week, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Love that. That's pretty good. Huh.
Yeah. It, immediately in my workflow, as soon as I read it, got to do that.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Just to be clear, I did have some trouble. I'm looking at the flagged column. I'm trying to right click on the flag itself. No, it's over in the left side where the mailboxes are.
Yeah. And you're leveraging Apple's rename mailbox feature in a way that I'm not convinced they intended, but I'm glad that it cascades through and actually works. So.
It works.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take it. Cool.
Good stuff.
All right. I got one from rnDoug. rnDoug says, I love my AirPods Pro, except they fall out of my ears all the time, even when sitting with no head movement. I've tried different size tips and the foam versions with no real improvement. It was to the point that I was considering getting something else that might provide a better fit. Well, today I came across a new to me tip that actually works and thought it was worth sharing. Wearing the tips upside down allows you to lock AirPod into the cartilage fold, locking them securely in place. I can shake my head, jump around, jog, and they don't budge. I found the more secure fit also gives me more complete noise cancellation and has had no discernible effect on sound quality. Best of all, it's free and requires no modifications. The only con I found is that you can't change the volume since the touchpad area is now against the ear. I don't use the stem volume control anyway, as it's so finicky. You can still use the click features to answer calls or change modes. Anyway, if you're having AirPod retention issues, give this one a try.
Yeah, and he sent a picture along. It's literally taking the AirPod and basically spinning it almost 180 degrees from where it would normally be, and using the outer ear, kind of the top front of your outer ear, to lock it in. It's fascinating.
Now,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so I do that all the time. So this is one of those quick tips that it's like, oh, yeah, never thought of that as a quick tip. I swap ears when I do it, though, so that it's still pointing forward. Because there's a slight cant to that AirPod to point forward into your ear canal. So I swap ears when I do it, and that allows me also to change volume.
Right.
So it's now on the other side. It's not on the front, it's on the back, but I can change volume. And the reason I started doing it is Dave knows, this is going to come out wrong, is Dave knows I sleep with my AirPods in.
It is true that
he knows because I've told him.
Well, that's one reason.
Let's go with that.
I do as well. I only sleep with one in at a time, but I do the same thing. But I don't have any issues with mine falling out, even when I'm sleeping, believe it or not.
So I do it because when I roll over, I don't want it on the bottom here.
Yeah. Huh. I had rnDoug try recording some audio through his AirPods with those, because I wondered how that might be if he were listening to something and got a phone call. Right. What would that do? And the sound in the traditional orientation was richer, had more low end, but it worked perfectly fine in that orientation. The decision he came to was, for short-term stuff, no problem. I would just leave it in the the alternative orientation. He's like, but if I knew I was going to be making a phone call for a while, he's like, I would put it in the right orientation. You probably get better noise cancellation from, ambient sounds and all that stuff when it's in the expected, orientation. But
I bet.
Yeah. All right. I have another one that isn't just Chicago Tom. It's also My Spoon Is Too Big. But in our Discord, My Spoon Is Too Big mentioned, says, you were talking about troubleshooting poor Apple TV Wi-Fi signals in a recent episode. So here are 2 quick tips that might help. First, if possible, connect your Apple TV using an Ethernet cable. It's not always practical, of course, but if you can, it will give you a more stable connection. Second, you can check your Wi-Fi signal strength directly on the Apple TV. Go to Settings, then Network. The signal strength appears as a series of filled dots. 5 dots means strong, 3 or fewer means weak. If weak, try adjusting your Wi-Fi setup by moving the router, etc. And then Chicago Tom added on, he says, this may or may not be relevant, but I thought I'd mention it. Every once in a while, my Apple TV will do the kinds of things that were described in the episode. It turns out that occasionally it switches over from my 5 gigahertz connection to my 2.4. The 2.4 connection is, of course, used by all the various HomeKit items that I have scattered around my home. Switching the connection back to 5 gigahertz solves the issue. Perhaps that may help. So that's another one to consider, is the which band it's connecting to. And maybe you want to remove if you have 2.4 and 5 as separately named bands, maybe remove the 2.41 from the Apple TV's auto join list so that it doesn't auto join. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Anything to add? Oh, go ahead, Pete.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Okay.
All right, I got one more from Chicago Tom. He says, "Hi, in the last episode, Adam mentioned that he'd like the ability to define custom routes in Apple Maps. Well, you can actually do this in iOS 18, kind of. Instead of choosing the automobile as your preferred mode of transportation, choose walking. This offers a prompt for defining a custom route by dragging your finger." And he attached a screenshot. "I assume that this route can be followed in a car and maps will still track you. Your car will just be a lot faster. Hope that works and good luck." Okay, but yes, great tip. I appreciate it. I'm going to say this right now. How dumb. Like, if they could do it for a walking route, they can do it for a driving route. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah, the button is already built. And I get why walkers or cyclists even would want to do this. And I also get why drivers of cars would want to do this. Why can't...
Just crazy talk, man. Go the way they tell you. Do what you're told, Dave.
Yeah, don't worry my pretty little head, right, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were talking about earlier. Just sometimes I want to take the scenic route. I don't want to go the fastest route.
Right.
Or the quickest route or the one with the least obstacles or whatever criteria they want. It's like, I want to go up the coast today.
Yeah, right.
I know it's not the fastest, but that's the route I want to go, and give me the directions.
Give me the directions. Yeah.
I think that they probably think, this is pure speculation, that you can add a stop somewhere along that alternate route, and that thus it will take you in that
would
direction.
probably work too. Yeah, I mean, that's another great tip. Yeah, just like forcibly add a stop in that direction, and maybe it'll reroute you there. But I mean,
yeah,
again, like, this is a great feature.
It shouldn't be that hard.
Draw it up. Here's where I want to go. Follow that.
Yep. Yeah, we went somewhere this weekend to tour some castle or whatever, and going down, we took the route that I would expect, and there were even some stops along that route that we were like, oh, on the way back, let's hit those. And when I put into the GPS, like, go home, it routed me so far around that route that it was like, I get that you're going to put me on highways and maybe it takes slightly less time, but we're not going that way, Apple Maps. We are going to go this way. And thankfully, we had, like, logged notes about the places we wanted to stop. So I had the names of them, and I was able to put one of those names in the... as like exactly what you're saying here, added a stop, and then it was fine. So, yeah. Yep. All right. We have a bunch of your questions to answer. We have some don't get caught stuff. We have some cool stuff found that we want to talk about. The next thing that we want to talk about here, though, is our sponsors. Because, as a parent, all we really want for our kids is for them to succeed, right? And sometimes the traditional school system or even homeschooling just doesn't fit, right? That's what I love about the concept behind our sponsor, K-12 Powered Schools. These are tuition-free, online, accredited public schools for grades K through 12. Yes, tuition-free. And no, this isn't homeschooling. You're not the teacher. K-12 Powered Schools have certified educators who know how to teach online using interactive tech and hands-on tools to help students learn at their own pace in their own place. They even build in social opportunities, extracurriculars, and real-world events to keep students connected. With over 25 years of experience and more than 3 million families served, K-12 is not new to this, right? Candidly, I wish I had known about this option for my own kids when we were navigating some of their educational twists and turns. Don't wait. Join the more than 3 million families who have been served by K-12 and empower your student to reach their full potential now. To do this, go to k12.com/MGG today and find a tuition-free K-12 powered school near you and enroll now. That's the letter K, the number 12, K12.com/MGG. K12.com/MGG, and our sincere thanks to K12 Powered Schools for sponsoring this episode. All right, you know how much I love a good workflow, right? With one of my other businesses, we were juggling org charts and task lists, notes, docs, you name it. That is until we started using our sponsor, Coda. It's like if a doc, spreadsheet, and a Swiss Army knife had a beautiful, productivity-obsessed baby. And then that baby got infused with AI-powered superpowers from Grammarly. Coda ties everything together in one seamless workspace. You can collaborate in real time, build powerful docs with buttons and automations, and even pull in data like from things like Jira or Figma or Salesforce, whatever tools you're already using. It's wild how fast we went from scattered to streamlined. So whether you're a small startup or a big enterprise, Coda molds itself to your team's unique rhythm. And now that it's powered by Grammarly, your writing gets polished as you work. Head over to coda.io/MGG right now and get 6 months of the team plan for startups for free. That's coda.io/MGG and get 6 months of the team plan for free. Coda.io/MGG, and our thanks to Coda for sponsoring this episode. And look, I started my own business because I wanted to see if the ideas we had could really work. And let's be candid, I also love the flexibility that comes with being my own boss, right? What I didn't realize, I'd also be the marketing team, the IT department, the janitor. You get the idea, right? And this happens with a lot of business owners, and that's where our sponsor, Constant Contact, comes in. Their award-winning platform takes the weight of marketing off of your shoulders. Email, social, text messages, even events and landing pages, all in one place. Plus, their AI content generator turns your rough ideas into polished, on-brand messages in minutes. Add in hundreds of customizable templates, automated sending, real-time reporting, and transparent pricing based on your contact list. And suddenly, marketing isn't the headache it used to be. Constant Contact even includes friendly phone support with every plan. It's no wonder over 500,000 small businesses trust them to stay connected and grow. And I'm really glad that I found Constant Contact, and I've got some ideas for one of my businesses, and I think we're going to get started soon, and I'm excited about that. You can get a free 30-day trial when you go to ConstantContact.com. Try Constant Contact free for 30 days at ConstantContact.com. That's ConstantContact.com. And our thanks to Constant Contact for sponsoring this episode. All right.
So, Dave, I have a question.
Yes.
You know what time it is?
What time is it?
Time for questions. Thusly, we've got one from Michael. He writes in, Dear Geek Gab gentlemen. Well, thank you, Michael. He says, I've recently retired and I'm looking at monthly costs. I've taken your sage advice on moving mine and my wife's cell service from the Death Star to Mint and have halved our annual costs. Woo-hoo. I actually had the guy trying to sell me cell service walk away from me when say, have a good day. Yep. When I told him, he went, what cell service you on? Mint. Oh, thanks. So,
yep. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Yeah. But I digress. He says, currently I pay for Apple One Family plan at $25.95 per month and iCloud 2 terabytes at $9.99 a month. I also have a 2 terabyte Dropbox account for $10 a month. Between Dropbox and iCloud, we have 750 gigs used. Would it make sense to upload everything from Dropbox to iCloud since I pay for 2 terabytes with Apple anyway and get rid of the $120 a year I pay for Dropbox? How would I do that? I looked at the Apple Premier plan, but that is $14 a month more than the Apple One Family, which doesn't get me anything I use but the storage I already pay for $10 a month. Any suggestions or words of geek wisdom would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. I haven't missed a podcast in over 15 years.
Wow.
Best, Michael. Nicely done, sir.
Yeah. Same.
That's true. Dave hasn't missed one in more than 15 years.
That's the first time you've ever called me David, I think.
I don't know. It just came out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's like, wait, are you my mom? Are you my high school band director?
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
David. Are you in trouble?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That could have been the case from either of the two of them. So yes, for sure. I think this idea is a great idea, Michael. The only issue I can see, and it may not be relevant for you, especially anymore now that you're retired, is if you currently have any shared Dropbox folders with other people, right? For example, I still keep a Dropbox account, and I have some shared folders with my bandmates. We used to use it for Mac Geek Gab until we started kind of doing it other ways. Some folks use it for work documents for sure, right? Or other collaborative projects. It still is the default way to share documents amongst a disparate group of people. If everybody's on iCloud, if everybody is Apple users, certainly sharing via iCloud works. I think it also works with Windows folks, but it's not quite as seamless. But really, that's it. As far as I can tell, moving things from Dropbox to your iCloud drive would be a smart move. And then don't cancel your Dropbox account. Just drop it down to the free tier. And then that way, if you do wind up needing to do some collaboration with people, well, you've still got your Dropbox account. It's just not full of all of your data. So that's my thoughts. I suppose Dropbox's versioning is better than iCloud versioning, which is basically non-existent, right, Adam?
I don't believe that there is versioning
right.
I'm aware of with iCloud documents. No.
Yeah, so make sure you're doing your backups the way you need to do them. So, yeah. That would be one other thing you're losing there. So, yeah.
I don't.
Do they still give over at Dropbox an extra gig for every referral?
Up to a point. I think I maxed it out at. I have like 26 gigs or something.
Yeah. I think I maxed at 23. So that's why I'm curious if they stopped or something. But because if you can get 15 or 20 gigs, it's useful.
Right.
The free version is useful.
Yeah, for sure. So. Yeah. And you may already have some referrals too, Michael, so yeah. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Trying to think, when you're sharing with non-iCloud or non-Apple people, do they still need to have an iCloud account, like a free iCloud account? That's the only thing I don't know either.
I think so, but that is also true of Dropbox. The difference between those two is that pretty much everybody by now has a Dropbox account.
Exactly, so. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, I find that non-Apple people often don't want to sign up for another account.
Especially if it's an Apple account.
Right.
Yep.
Now,
yeah, go ahead, Pete.
This will blow your monthly budget once. Get a NAS drive and share everything that you need to from there.
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's what I do, except that I also pay for iCloud storage. But my iCloud storage is fully consumed by my family's photo library.
As I say, it's for family, right? Yeah, family photos.
Yeah. Kiwi Graham says correctly that it's not so much projects where you're the one who decides how sharing is going to happen, because you could decide we're going to use iCloud for this, and then everybody just says, okay, fine, I got a deal. It's when other people are sharing to you, it's going to be Dropbox in 80% of all cases.
Yeah,
so right. That's a very good point, Kiwi Graham. Thank you for saying that. Yeah,
it's kind of ubiquitous.
It kind of yeah. They're one of those cases where being first to market actually mattered.
Well, I think what they locked in on was sharing, right? Like I have a million cloud accounts for like storing stuff. Like I've got Google Cloud, I've got whatever Microsoft OneDrive, I've got iCloud, I've got Dropbox. But yeah, the de facto one, if you're going to like share something, just became Dropbox.
That's how I got a Dropbox account. It was from a bass player in a project I was in. He was like, well, I'll just share it with Dropbox. And I was like, oh, you have Dropbox? Because I knew about it, but I was like on the waiting list or whatever. And he's like, yeah, you don't? I'm like, no, not yet. He's like, well, I can fix that. I'm like, yes, you can. Woo! Like,
yeah. And I think you shared it with me shortly
and
thereafter.
then we started sharing it on the show. For two reasons. One, because we wanted to share it with everybody. And number two, we wanted to build up our free gigs. So, I mean, it was a win-win. Yeah. We were transparent about it. Yep.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Yeah. All right. Should I take us to where we are to next? Eddie. Eddie has a question. He says, I'd like to revisit the best non-mesh router and travel router. My current setup is an Eero Gen 2, at least 7 years old, with several Apple TVs, iPads, M4 MacBook Airs, PS5s, and iPhone 16s. I live on a 50-foot boat. Well, that's cool. Yeah. With minimal material between rooms, so mesh is overkill. I'm only using the base unit. This router is falling behind keeping up with current Wi-Fi protocols. Our marina installed free community Wi-Fi along the docks, and I want to keep my cable connection. I haven't tested the cable connection fully and don't want to until I can be behind a firewall. I'd like a router that can share a cable connection or Wi-Fi signal, run a VPN, I use PIA, have at least Wi-Fi 6 capability, and work well with Apple products. Bonuses would be NAS storage, multiple ports for hardwiring Apple TVs and PS5s, and failover to the Wi-Fi if the cable fails. I'd like to be able to connect to another marina's free Wi-Fi instead of hotspotting or using my business's Verizon 5G router. Keep up the good work. I don't miss an episode. I listen to them all. Adam and Pilot Pete have added so much. Well, thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
I agree, Eddie. This is a good one. My gut reaction is to recommend the Synology WRX 560. It does fail over. It allows for the two WAN connections, and I believe one of those can be in wireless ISP mode, which is effectively what you're doing here. That'll connect to the marina Wi-Fi and then kind of, make it the source of your internet connection. So that's definitely one of the options here, and a strong one. Another strong one though is from gl.inet. They call it the Flint 2. It's the GL MT6000. We will have links to both of these here in the show notes today. This one is similar to the Synology, software-wise. It's different software, of course, but it kind of does all the same things, or a lot of the same things. It has slightly better Wi-Fi specs than the Synology. I think it's got one more antenna per radio, so you might get better coverage, although, as you pointed out, you don't really need better coverage. You just need, to go from Wi-Fi 5 to at least Wi-Fi 6 and all of that. But I've never put my hands on the Flint 2 from GL.inet, so I can't say for certain. But I think either one of those would do it. I really think that you're looking for something somewhat nerdy in the desire to use failover, right? That's not something that's in every router everywhere. And then also the whole wireless ISP thing is not in every router, but it is in these two. So they're both worth a look, I think. And we've got links in the show notes for both of them. So that's where I'd go with that. Yep.
I agree.
Pete?
I had no idea how I missed that the WRX 560 was out. Problem
it's been out for a while. Yeah, long time.
Problem is my 2600, which is probably close to 10 years old now, is so good and so reliable.
Yeah.
It was so far ahead of its time.
And you're not using the 2600 for Wi-Fi. You're just using it as a router, and that changes things too, of course.
Fair enough.
So,
yeah. So,
yeah.
but the WRX 560 is cheaper than their 6600.
Correct, and less antennas per radio, right? Like so, the 6600 from Synology would also do all of these things, and it has even better radios and stronger, in theory, stronger connections.
Sure.
I don't think for his scenario he needs to spend the extra money to do that, but it certainly would work. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. So, Yupper.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't even realize you had another router out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we get another one this year. They don't have a Wi-Fi 7 offering at all right now. They don't have a router that has more than one port that goes faster than gigabit. So it doesn't they are limiting themselves right now. Those limitations, specifically the not having two ports that go 2.5G, because if your ISP is 2.5G and you want to be able to have Ethernet to take advantage of that, you need two ports that are 2.5, and you don't get that. So that's what moved me to the Unify Cloud, the UCG Max, the Unify Cloud Gateway Max was that. So, and I think that would work for you too. I don't know about wireless ISP mode. Check that, but I will put the Unify Cloud Gateway Max in here because that doesn't have Wi-Fi. Then you got to add Wi-Fi to it. So it's not. I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's not the one-stop shop that Eddie's looking for. Yeah, right, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, should I take us to Ian?
Yes, please.
Okay. Ian's a new listener in the UK, so thanks for joining us. He says, I've tried the tip to get more email addresses out of my Apple ID back in May. I am slowly going through your back catalog with much enjoyment, especially as a blind Mac user. I have set up 3 aliases on iCloud, but when I try to test them by sending to and from each one, nothing comes into my inbox. I do not get any mail undeliverable warnings. The new email addresses do appear in the drop-down options to select where to send from, so my Mac knows the addresses exist, but nothing seems to go out or come in. Can anyone help with this? All the best, Ian.
Adam, I have one idea. Do you have any ideas for this?
No, go ahead.
Okay, because it should work, right? From what he's describing. Of course, we're not there. There might be something obvious missing. I don't know, but it's supposed to work the way you're expecting. And so the first place I'd look is in mail rules on iCloud to make sure that you don't have some, policy rule that is filtering out everything that's not coming to your primary address and just, shuttling it to the trash or something like that. Because if the person that's sending it is not getting a bounce message, and I'm assuming that's you from your Gmail account or something, testing. If you're not getting a bounce message there, then you're not getting the email in in your inbox. It means that iCloud is receiving that message and doing something with it, because otherwise the person on the other end will get a bounce. So I mean, it's just how that works. So yep. All right. Well. Yeah. That's that. Let's see. We have.
We're still on Ian, I'm going to offer a suggestion. Go to the competition as well. If you don't already listen to Allison, new listener Allison over at NosillaCast, she is always covering accessibility stuff. So.
Oh yeah, fair.
Great show for accessibility on the Mac.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good call. Thanks, Pete. Listener Michael has a bit of a question, maybe a fist shake. Michael has been a listener for quite some time and is quite technically astute. But as with everything technical, there are many things that each of us could simply not know. Oh, I clicked play.
Hey, Dave, Pilot Pete, and Adam. Michael calling here. Question for you. So I am a new iPhone 16 Pro and Apple Watch Series 10 owner. I've been a Mac user since 2007 and was Android before, finally moved over to unify everything. But now that everything is unified, I've got tablets ringing in one room. My watch is ringing. I answer it. I'm using an earbud at the time. I'm trying to talk to my wife, and I hear, she's talking through the phone. Meanwhile, I'm using the Patreon app to listen to a podcast of mine, and it's still playing while the call is going on.
Oh, no.
I don't know what to do. I thought it would be easier. I like the equipment. It's slick as heck, but please, any advice you have to kind of unify these things so it works well the way they say it's supposed to, because it is not working well for me at all. So thank you, lads. Appreciate it.
This is another one thank you, Michael, for sending this in. This is another one of those where I would start by saying that's not the way it's supposed to work. It is supposed to work the way you are desiring, where when you answer a call, it pauses the audio and all of these things. Do you have any thoughts on this, Adam, as we kind of bounce this around?
I don't know much about because you mentioned the Patreon app, right? And so here's the thing. For this stuff to work, they have to be using Apple's stuff for their player. There's no guarantee that, Patreon chose to use built-in stuff for their audio player, right? So it could be that, or it could be broken. Like, my first assumption would be Patreon's doing something different with the audio, at least in that scenario. But I'm with them on a bunch of this stuff, like, S Lady picking up on my phone when I've got my, HomePod Mini right behind me, and I'm trying to play music or issue a music command, right? Like, sometimes it just happens and it's frustrating. A lot of times it just works, but it's definitely not perfect. Another one, especially with the AirPods, is, I'll be sitting here and I'll be wanting to use AirPods with my phone for a phone call. And then I launch, Zoom on my Mac, and Zoom picks up the earbuds, because I use those with Zoom as well. And then it pops open the dynamic island. Hey, we switched this to your Mac, and if you're fast enough, you can tap it and switch it back. But I think we've all experienced this. It's like it mostly works, but I'm with him. It's not like Apple people always like to say it just works. It doesn't always just work, and it can be definitely frustrating. So I don't know if I have a really good solution for them, especially when you have multiple devices, other than, for certain features like turning off. If you're never going to answer a call on your phone or on your Mac, I think you can go in. You can go in and like choose which devices pick up, say, like phone calls.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure there's settings for that. So just turn it off on your Mac because like I never take phone calls on my computer ever.
Right.
So, and I haven't even disabled it. It'll ring, and I'll just. The one thing I do like about that is I will dismiss phone calls, especially if it's a spam. I'm sitting here working, someone's spam calling me. I can see that come up, and I can just send them straight to voicemail or just dismiss it really quickly. So that's convenient. But I'm with him. Like, it doesn't always just work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's that calls on other devices option in, what is it? Settings, apps, phone. And I, like, for example, have this computer turned off. I do not want calls appearing on like, I will never take a call on this computer. So you can go through and you can choose that by device. And it can make a difference, And if for some reason I needed to do a podcast with someone and the only way we could connect was, FaceTime, well, then I'll just turn it on. It's going to be okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
So.
But I've totally experienced the phone call thing where it's like, I'm already picked up the call. I'm on my AirPods. And then for some dumb reason, it suddenly switches to the back to the phone. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, and then I have to go to the phone app and then re-switch it back, and I don't know why that happens occasionally. Luckily, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does. And I've had vice versa too, where it's like on the phone, and then it suddenly just decides, oh, in the middle of the call, I'm going to connect to your AirPods because those are close by. It's like, no, I was just talking.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most common things that happens, because almost every phone call that I take or make with a fellow Apple user, the first 30 seconds is both of us,
Right.
being like, hang on, I gotta like sync it to my AirPods.
Get my AirPods in.
And then the second 60 seconds is us complaining about exactly this, right? So you have to do the AirPods dance to start every phone call, and I don't know why that is, right? But it is. It is. So
It is.
And I can't tell you how many times I'll have my phone next to my laptop. The phone will ring. I'll have my AirPods in. I will click once to answer, and I get call failed because it tried to go over to the computer and then goes back. But so and I think Matthew Dropko in the comments said basically what you said, Dave. He called it call forwarding. Turn off call forwarding when a device is nearby and should be turned off. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's the setting in the Mac and the iPad. Said he had the same issue. So I was thinking it was called handoff, but that's different because that's
I think
other
that's
options.
different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So fun stuff. I would love to, if you folks know how not to have to do the AirPods dance, tell us. Feedback at MacGeekGab.com.
Well, where? Feedback at MacGeekGab.com?
Yep, I would definitely email feedback at MacGeekGab.com.
Yep, that's it. We have some don't get caughts and some cool stuff found to get to. The next thing that we want to do is talk about our sponsors, because you ever feel like your body's trying to tell you something, but it's doing it in Morse code through your skin, your sleep, or your energy levels? I mean, given what I've been going through, yeah. That's why I chose Function Health and have booked my first appointment, because I love services like this. You get real, actionable insights from 160 plus biomarkers. We're talking cortisol, testosterone, vitamin D, even multi-region MRIs and CT scans, all in one place. The Function platform shows you what's really going on in your body, whether you're tracking burnout, inflammation, stress, or wondering why your skin's suddenly staging a protest. And this isn't guesswork. Function gives you legit medical grade data over time, explained in plain language. That's why top health minds like Dr. Huberman and Dr. Hyman are on board. Candidly, I'm looking forward to getting my results back, because owning your health beats ignoring it. Don't get caught relying on assumptions when your body is asking for data. Learn more and join using our link. The first 1,000 people get a $100 credit towards your membership. Visit www.functionhealth.com/MGG or use gift code MGG at sign up to own your health. And our thanks to Function Health for sponsoring this episode. And look, we've talked about this. Running a business means juggling everything. And I know what it's like when your phone becomes the bottleneck, right? Whether it's clients texting at odd hours or team members needing to follow up, communication has to flow. And that's where our sponsor, OpenPhone, comes in. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. It works right from your phone or computer, so no more carrying two phones like some kind of 90s tech throwback. And if you've ever wished your whole team could handle calls and texts from one number like a shared inbox, OpenPhone does that too. Your team can reply instantly, even pick up where someone else left off. It's like Slack met your phone system and had a brilliant little baby. Plus, OpenPhone's AI can answer calls for you after hours, capture leads, and help you not miss out on business, because every missed call is money left on the table. And OpenPhone is offering you, our Mac Geek Gab listeners, 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/MGG. That's OPENPHONE.com/MGG. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers, and our thanks to OpenPhone for sponsoring this episode. So listener Paul wrote in and pointed us to an Amazon review for a USB-C cable that is the Sun Guy 10 gigabit per second some USB-C cable, right? And I think it's got micro B on one side and USB-C on the other. A reviewer on this pointed out that it says, I've connected this cable to several of my systems, and when the logo side is up, it is in 10 gigabit per second mode. But if the logo side is down, it's in USB 2 speeds at 480 megabits per second. That seems crazy to me because USB-C is, universal. But other people confirmed this too. So I think and thank you, Paul, for letting us know and letting us share this here. If you are buying budget-priced USB-C cables, when you get them, test them in all combinations, all permutations of, what's up and what's down in terms of the cable, just to make sure that similar corners have not been cut on whatever cable you choose, because that can be maddening. So, yeah. Yeah. I think that's a perfect reply. Perfect.
Yeah,
retort.
no, I just, a good reason not to buy really, really weird, cheap cables. And this frustrates me because you go to Amazon and that's pretty much what you see most of the time now is this really off-brand, cheap Chinese USB hubs and cables. And like, if you're doing any kind of searching, that's what comes up all the time.
All the time.
And I know people have had success with some of those things. I just frankly avoid them. I stick with the brands I know. It's like OWC, Anker.
Yep.
If I want less or more inexpensive, I'll go back to Monoprice. Brands that I trust, I just kind of stick to them because you find out weird stuff like this. It's like, that makes no sense. It's not to spec. They're not doing it right. Like, they're cutting corners. And how are you gonna know? Like, I think in the review, the guy said, I know because I have a little, device that I can put in line that shows me the speed. And so maybe if you're buying a lot of cheap cables, you want to get one of those little things to show you the transfer rate, like on a little LCD screen, so you can plug in and see what you're actually getting.
Yep. Kiwi Graham in our Discord chat says, I found today via isolation testing that a cheap USB-C charging cable was causing all devices on my hub to renegotiate power levels every 60 seconds. That sounds fun. That's great. Yeah. So, again, more evidence to support your theory, Adam. So,
yeah. Oh, no. What was I doing the other day? I had my new drives and I had plugged in something and it might have been a cheap cable. I had to unplug it because I plugged in and all of a sudden the drive started to doing that where drive connect, drive drop, drive connect, drive drop thing. Yeah. And I bet you it was something related to something like this, like renegotiating power every 60 seconds because they were like powering on and then powering off because they're USB bus powered. I bet you it was exactly the same thing. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I just disconnected this cable, and then everything was fine.
When I did that test a couple of years ago, where I bought all kinds of either Thunderbolt or USB 4 cables and tested with all of my devices, I definitely found some that were like not anything I would ever use. I didn't mention any of those on the show. I recommended the ones that I found that actually worked. And you can find quality, inexpensive USB 4 cables that will do everything Thunderbolt does, right? They're not certified at Thunderbolt spec, but in many cases, that's okay. And so, instead of spending $60 on a cable, you can spend $20 because it's USB 4, not Thunderbolt. But, the specs are so similar that it just works. But you have to test it when you get it. Like, you can't just You can't don't just buy it and throw it in your travel case and go on a trip for 3 weeks. You know,
Right.
like Dave did a couple of years ago. God, I got somewhere, dude. I got somewhere and was like, all right, great. I gotta just, I'm setting up my hotel room. I pull out my extra screen. I grab one of the cables that I brought with me. I plug it in. Screen doesn't work. It's like, wait, this is like a 10 gig cable. Like it should definitely work. It's like, no. Your cable has to be certified for DisplayPort. And it's like, what? And thankfully, I dug, I tore everything apart that I had and found one cable in my bag that would do it. And it was like, all right, now every USB-C cable I travel with, that was what catalyzed that whole test I did a couple years ago, of course. But every USB-C cable in my travel bag works for everything. It'll work for Thunderbolt. It'll work for display. It'll work for charging. It'll work for hard drives. Like there is no cable I have with me that has different specs from any other. It's just they all have all the specs, and that's the only way I can live. Well,
Yep.
I can't live like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, life's too short to deal with bad cables. It's, like
That's
it really is.
yeah. Yeah.
I would say if you want to listen to that primer that Dave gave, that was show number 996, and it starts at 47 minutes and 50 seconds into the episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, very nicely done, Pete.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Bob has a don't get caught. That's kind of a follow up to my don't get caught from last episode. He says, "Hi, Dave, Peter, and Adam. I've for a long time had an Apple account for myself, my wife, and a third account that we used for purchases that the two of us shared. This was well before Apple created family sharing. When that was created, we continued to use third account for purchases and just had that set up for, medium purchases for both of us. I was excited when a few months ago, the Apple was allowing you to migrate your purchases to your primary account. I was just going to migrate all our purchases to my account and family share it with my wife. Easy peasy, right?" No, Bob found out like I did. Well,
That's
no.
fast.
After trying to do this for over a month and having 3 calls with Apple support, I was finally told today that if the account you were migrating from, the secondary account, had ever had an Apple Music account, even if it currently didn't have one, that account could not be migrated. So they're basically saying that you can migrate all your purchases as long as one of your purchases wasn't Apple Music or Apple One. Does this make any sense, Apple? No. Guess I'm sticking with my old system of using that third account for media and purchases for both of us. Thanks for letting me rant. Keep up the good work. Longtime listener and love the show, Bob. Yeah, Bob. I'm with you. I'm in the same boat as we talked about in the last episode. Feels like a giant money grab to me. I also don't understand why they can't just let me kill that other account, because I don't know if the music thing got me, or like I was talking about, the other thing is Apple developer accounts will also cause the same issue. So if that secondary account ever had an Apple developer account, apparently you can't merge, even if it sounds like you kill that developer account or aren't using that developer account. So I'm going back and forth with Apple on this one too. We'll see. Hopefully they figure this out. Hopefully it's just a stumbling block in this new merging thing, because they've only had the merging thing, I think, for about a year or so. Is that?
Oh, not even. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's relatively new.
It's relatively new. That's the right way to say it. Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully it's something they can resolve. If enough of us talk about it or are caught by this, hopefully it's something they can get us uncaught from.
Yeah, I think, Kiwi Graham, again, comes up with the perfectly crystallized reason for this, and it's tech debt, preventing different database merging. And that's exactly, this was never meant to happen. And so it's a bolt on to something where they can't change the underlying infrastructure, right? Without, if they were to go change the underlying infrastructure, the support costs for that, even if they were certain they didn't mess with anything, it would definitely mess with some people. And and they know that, like, they've been here before. So yeah. Yupper. All right.
Got another don't get caught this week. This
Yeah,
time
man.
from Russell, who writes in, I don't like to be too negative about a particular product as it may suit other people just fine. But Adam mentioned the BenQ 5K monitors with Thunderbolt connections. I tried one and sent it back because it wasn't bright enough for me. I have an office with a window and I like my screen bright. Just a personal choice. Otherwise, it seemed like good and well constructed equipment, but the maximum nits was simply not enough for me. I eventually paid out the huge premium price and got a new Apple 5K screen. My other screen is an old 5K iMac using Luna display, which is very good, but not as convenient as a dedicated screen. If cost is a significant issue and you want mostly to use the screen to watch movies or video so there's relatively little interaction, then Luna is certainly a very good option. But you may need a separate keyboard and mouse to be able to conveniently set it up each time you turn it on. Refurbished iMacs with the 5K screen can be quite cheap, and the screen is both good and bright. Just my 10 cents. Russell.
Yeah, for sure. I went and looked, and the BenQ screen has 400 nits brightness. And the Apple Studio display has 600 nits brightness, so 50% more. And even 100 nits more makes a difference when the sun is involved. My M2 MacBook Air is 400 nits. And when I'm sitting out, one thing that many of us in my family like to do on a weekend morning, if we have things to catch up on, is we grab our laptops and we go sit out. Candidly, I do this during the week too. Grab our laptops and go sit out on our patio, kind of by the fire pit. Whether we turn on the fire pit or not is, ambient temperature dependent. But it's a nice place to just sit, and the sun's there, and it's a nice place to kind of wake up and go through your stuff. I had to go inside the other morning because my 400 nits wasn't enough. My son's got the M1 Pro MacBook Pro, I want to say, that I had for like 5 minutes, and then realized when he was going to school as a software engineer, it was like, you need this way more than me. You will use the power of this. I will not. And so he's got that one, and that's at 500 nits. And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's totally fine." I'm like, "Yeah, great. That thanks, kiddo." Yeah. But nits matter for sure. Yeah.
Yep. I've actually got a small suggestion along those lines, though. You guys may have heard of this product called Setapp. We mentioned it once or twice, I think. But in Setapp is one of the programs is called Display Buddy. And I think Display Buddy will override. I mean, obviously the maximum a screen can put out is the maximum it can put out. But
Sure.
Display Buddy will override what you can set on your Mac by default, I believe. I was able to, because I got that because when I first got my Elgato teleprompter, it locked up everything and it would not work. I was able to turn that software off, turn the monitor on, but I had no control over the monitor. And Dave, you suggested to me, try Display Buddy, and it worked great. And I could get things really, really granular in my control over the monitors. I will mention that if you look in the Display Buddy notes, it talks about it will not work with the HDMI port on the M1 Max. They fixed it with the M2, but it doesn't send the control over HDMI on the M1 Max. But Display Buddy is a pretty cool piece of gear. If you're using even if you're using only your notebook display, you can brighten it up beyond what Apple lets you do.
Oh, I thought Display Buddy only was for third-party displays. Is that not the case?
Yeah, no, it will control your laptop display.
Oh, then I need to try that at the fire pit the next time I'm sitting out there.
I do not know if.
Sure.
Again, there's only so many nits in a given display.
Yeah, right. You're not gonna challenge physics with this, right?
Right. But I think it overrides what Apple will let you normally do with your.
I believe that.
Yeah. The nits matter for sure. I mean, and we talked about when I got my new notebook, I was going to get the Air, and what put me over was that the video I saw where they were comparing the Air display to the Pro display, and it was like, oh, for $200 more, I can get ProMotion and a display that goes up to 1600 nits if I need it, right?
Oof.
So
You didn't need those retinas for anything, did you?
right?
No, I would for my next laptop because of this particular use case. And this, like I said, this does happen if I have a bunch of email I need to go through, answering MGG emails or even just, my regular kind of inbox disaster. I find that I can be more productive and more focused if I have just one screen. Most of the time having two screens is great, but one screen for email is awesome because I don't have all the other crap. I know I can turn all the other crap off, like I'm aware, but it's fine. I grab my laptop, I have a change of scenery, I go sit outside. It's nice to be outside, but for that one use case, I would strongly consider the MacBook Pro the next time I replace my laptop because I can get more brightness out of it. So yeah,
Cool.
For sure. Yeah. All right. We got time for cool stuff found, right?
Yeah, we do. Let's do some cool stuff found. I can kick things off with Joel. He says, I listened to episode 1096 while mowing the lawn. As you were talking about inexpensive time machine network devices, I was just starting the front of the lawn.
Yeah.
And thought, Raspberry Pi. Yes, I'd probably have a bit of an obsession with them because I like cheap innovation. I found the following info for using a Raspberry Pi for time machine backups, and he gives us a link to a Raspberry Pi time machine that you can build. So you can get a Raspberry Pi and set up your own time machine network backup, I would assume. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You install Samba on it and... there is in the Samba is the Linux engine that allows you to advertise shares on the network using SMB.
Yep.
And so it makes perfect sense that you would install Samba. It's open source. It's all the things that Linux usually is. The key to this, though, is that there is a time machine function configuration in Samba, and I love that the way that you kind of one of the things that you turn on is you say fruit : AAPL equals yes, and then fruit : time machine equals yes. So it emulates whatever it needs to do to advertise as a time machine Samba SMB share, and you're good to go. So yeah. So you don't even, then you have to set up Avahi, which is the engine that advertises via Bonjour, which is what Apple devices use. And that's also a very standard thing. And then that's it. So it's Samba and Avahi. This makes perfect sense. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Love it. Huh. That's simpler than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Yeah. Thanks, Joel. Corey has our next one. Cory writes, I've been using Copilot Money for over 5 years now, and I thought I would submit it for CSF. This is unrelated to Microsoft Copilot. He says he uses Copilot Money to track my monthly budget and accounts, and it works great. It syncs with everything automatically, tracks recurring expenses, auto categorization, easy for you to say. It's brilliant and definitely worth checking out. I don't know that I had ever heard of Copilot Money. As a longtime Quicken user, I just kind of get into. I've been in that mode, maybe a rut, I don't know, for a long time. But this looks, it's very robust. Obviously, if he's been using it 5 years, it's been out at least that long. So, wow,
That's cool.
yeah. Interesting.
Adding to this a little bit, not quite as robust and as good as that, but I did notice today, just as I was setting up for the show, I was looking at my Apple Card and it was showing me my Apple Card spending, and it had a little note that said, so far your family has spent about the same as last year at this time. So it was like letting me know, like, my expenses are, at least with my Apple Card, are on track with what I was spending last year, which is kind of
That's
cool.
good. Yeah, right. Yeah.
It'll melt my phone.
Do you guys both use your Apple cards as kind of one of, or if not the primary card that you use?
Yeah, I do because I have Apple Savings. Although that's we could have a whole conversation about how that's gone downhill. But
yeah.
But I do like that. But watching my interest rate drop precipitously as I think, are they still with Saks? Like, I know that was going to change too, but
yeah, of
Goldman
course.
Sachs hasn't been happy, so they've just been like cranking down that interest rate, unfortunately. But I still like that feature. I still like having it go right into my savings account. So I set it up as my primary one, especially with Apple products, because you get that 3% back.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I buy Apple stuff, obviously that's the one I use. Mostly I think I use still the Bonvoy. Amex is the one I use because our points and hotel stays are free. We do that a lot.
I use, even when buying Apple stuff, I still use my Marriott Bonvoy Amex cards because that 3%, I mean, either way, right, that 3% is being paid by someone. So the question is, what are you getting out of it? And if 3% cash back is the best option you've got, great. And with hotel points, it can vary wildly. It depends on what the room is worth in cash versus points.
Yeah.
And the real key for me each year to maximizing Marriott points is South by Southwest. Hotel rooms are so ridiculously expensive that my points per dollar for that week wind up being worth about 5%. And so that's why I use, but again, that's a very conscious, mathematically calculated decision. And that's really the only week of the year where my Marriott points are worth more than 3%. Oftentimes they're like somewhere between 2 and 3. Other times they're worth like 1%. And in those cases, I don't use my points. I just pay for the room, get the 3% back as points. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys are a little different because you travel more. So like I don't need an airline hotel travel reward card. So I just use my Apple card. The other thing I really like about the Apple card is I don't like carrying credit card debt. So I pay it every couple of weeks, probably every week to 2 weeks. I pay it off. Yeah. So the ability to go in the app and just hit the button, have it come right out of my Chase account and get paid for. I'm paying it multi times a month. It's really just a way to like shift money around. Really,
exactly. Yeah, that's great.
And
love it.
I forget what the math was on it because I was just using the cash for other stuff, but I think it might have been New Listener Allison who said it. Use the money that you get back to pay off your card, and that's how you truly get the savings. So I forget what the way the math works on that.
Yep.
It made sense when I read it. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
We got one more cool stuff found from JanLandy, who writes in on it was on Discord. I was using Permute and Squash until I found Clop. Automatically optimize images, video, and PDFs with Clop. The app will quickly make your screenshots more lightweight, optimize the size of clipboard images, or shrink and crop your PDFs to fit a variety of screens. And guess where it's available? Only on Setapp. I think we mentioned that once before.
I think it's available on things other than Setapp too. But
if it is, I'd be shocked because I did a Google search
I think the manufacturer has a website
as
well. Yeah,
they must.
They must. Let's see.
You can get it on GitHub. It's open source.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, it's lowtechguys.com is where you can go get Clop. Yeah.
I don't know how when I clicked on it, it only came up with a Setapp version. But a lifetime license is $15 whole.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah,
I like it.
That's the pro version, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
there's a free version and there's a pro version. The free version, it looks like, has some session limits on optimizing things like screenshots and files and things like that. But we'll do clipboard optimization and downscale images for free across the board. And then if you want more than 5 per session shortcuts or screenshot optimizations, you gotta opt in for the Pro.
And it integrates with file shelves like Yoink and Dockside, so you can have it take an image or whatever, convert it, and put the converted version on your Yoink shelf, so you've got it there to add to whatever email you're going to work on later or whatever it is. So that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. And I'm eager to play with the video downsizing of it, because I always use Handbrake, which is pretty granular, but you got to know what you're doing.
For when I need to do quick and dirty video size reduction or even conversions, I use an app called Permute, which I believe is part of Setapp as well.
It is
correct.
But it's from Charlie Monroe, and it is I like. It's my default for sure. For also audio, we work with a service called FlowSend. I think that's the name of the service that helps kind of produce. It uses AI to help figure out where clips might come out of the show, and then Sadie likes that. And they won't take FLAC files, which is what we record the show to. So as soon as we finish the show, I use Permute to convert it to like M4A or whatever, and then we upload it to them, and and then it does its magic. But
I don't think I knew Permute worked with video.
Yep.
There you go.
That it does.
While we're doing that, since we're talking setup and video and optimization things, I'll throw a shout out for another program on there called Downy for downloading videos specifically from YouTube. Because I was trying to grab something from YouTube the other day, and it said, "Oh, you can download this if you sign up for YouTube Red or whatever."
Yep.
Grab the URL, throw it in Downy. Was able to
I can
pull
download
it
it anyway. What do you think of that, YouTube?
Yeah.
They don't make it easy.
Yep. That also from Charlie Monroe.
Yeah.
Great. I should just use Downy. I use YT-DLP from the terminal.
Right.
And that works fine. But Downy would be simpler.
Well, it also optimizes it too. So I think you can set optimization settings to pull it down, and you can also optimize it and downscale it, and probably has some Permute technology integrated in.
Makes perfect sense. Of course it does. Yes, right. Yep.
As does PullTube. Sorry, got to keep throwing them in there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I like it. Yep.
Cool.
I didn't think we would have time to do some show business today, but we do. And so I want to take a minute and thank all of our recent MGG Premium supporters whose contributions have come in the last few weeks. We will start with, and as we always say, I'll say it again, that this is optional, certainly not required, but it is absolutely appreciated, and it is a part of what allows us to do this show. It's you and our sponsors, and it very much in that order. So thank you to everyone who chooses to participate in this. And the most important thing you can do is keep listening to the show. The second most important thing you can do is encourage other people, other like-minded people, to listen to the show. And when I say like-minded, I mean people interested in the nerdy stuff that we're talking about. And then number 3 would be support the show directly if you are able. And actually number 3 and number 4 are kind of tied, and that is go visit our sponsors. Whether or not you buy from them is between you and them, but going to visit them, it is our job to encourage you to go and visit our sponsors. So we're happy to be transparent about that. Back to thanking those of you whose contributions have come in. A $100 contribution from Richard in Galesville, and also one from Sandra in Merrimack. Thank you to both of you. You rock. $50 contributions thanks to Chuck in Boulder and Stanley in Catonsville. Thank you both. A $45 contribution from Roger in Blaine. A $40 contribution from David in Lenexa. A $36 contribution from Ben in Berkeley. Love that. Thank you. A $30 contribution from Richard in Pontrug and Christopher in Ventura and Andrew in North Glen. Thank you. $25 contributions from the following people: Antonio in Parts Unknown, John in Ypsilanti, Jeffrey in Alamogordo, Brian in Fountain Hills, Phil in Santa Fe, Brett in Parts Unknown, Tim in Ann Arbor, Michael in Naperville, Joe in Kingsley, Richard in Melbourne, Craig in Pace, Michael in Troy, Barry in Delray Beach, Robert in Brawley, Javier in Jacksonville, Mikhail in Altadena, Anthony in Chicago, Larry in Irvine, Richard in Sands Point, David in Stillwater, Jason in St. Louis, David in Huron, and someone in Orlando whose name I don't have. Love that. Person X. Thank you for your $25 contributions. For $20 contributions, thanks to Dan in Racine and Robert in Wakefield. You rock. And $10 contributions, thanks to Stephen in Plainfield, John in Vienna, Jason in Charlestown, Joseph in Marietta, Stephen in Costa Mesa, Wagner in Allen, Robert in Columbiana, James in San Antonio, James in Melbourne, Chris in Chorleywood, Bill in Parts Unknown, Barry in Des Plaines, or wherever you might be, Barry, Timothy in West Windsor, Hans in Oak Park, Mark in Vero Beach, Abel in Santa Rosa, Jonathan in Plainsboro, Paul in Lawrenceville, Neil, West Hartford, Michael Robbins, James in Amity Harbor, Santiago in Palm City, Phil in Summers, Mark in Coopersburg, Donald in Furlong, Peter in Auburn, Nick in Marquette, Scott in Bourbonnais, Cal in Russellville, Jeremiah in Edgewater, Brian in Southbury, and John in Wake Forest. Thank you all so much for your contributions. And if you're interested in learning more about that, macgeekgab.com/premium. And I think that wraps us up, right? Do we have anything else to add? Anything?
Nope.
I'm thinking I'm deaf. I'm not hearing something.
Well, we can fix that. I have buttons for that, Pete.
Did I go deaf?
You did not go deaf, to my knowledge.
All right.
Can you hear the music?
I do. There's the band.
Your
Welcome
hearing
back,
test
band.
came back positive. That's right.
That's right.
You can hear.
I can indeed, in spite of my best efforts over the years.
Our testing is not nearly good here as it is with your AirPods, but it's fine.
Correct.
It's binary. Yeah, that's right. Thanks to Victrola for doing our monthly giveaway with us at macgeekup.com/giveaway. We are giving away a Victrola Stream Onyx turntable that you are going to love, so make sure you get signed up for that. Thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Make sure you listen to our other podcasts, Adam's debut film podcast, Pete's So There I Was, My Business Brain, and Gig Gab. And we've added some new merch. Go check it out, macgeekup.com/merch. Oh, we have some reviews we need to read at some point. We'll do that. Yeah. But not this week.
Hoping they're all 5 stars.
I think we got another 1-star. Maybe? No, I think we already dealt with that. No,
Don't make me find you. Don't get caught.
That's it. That's
I like the 1 stars. It's often good at good, feedback.
I agree.
We can grow.
I absolutely agree. There's often, not always, but often something in those 1-star reviews that there's a crumb of it that resonates with at least one of us. And then we have a discussion about it. And it's like, is there a there there? Sometimes it's like, no, there's no there.
Yeah,
but,
you can't be thin-skinned and do this.
No, but sometimes there is a there. And it's like, oh, there is a little tweak we can make. So, and we have, I would say in the last 4 to 6 weeks, I think we've tightened stuff up a little bit.
We took one to heart.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Be honest, be constructive if you're going to leave a 1-star, but we prefer those 5 stars.
Yeah, you can be constructive in a 5-star review too,
True.
There you go.
Hey, folks, don't get caught. We'll see you next week.
Made on a Mac.
Later.